Da-na-na.
Hello, and welcome to I've Survived Home Safety Edition. I'm your host, Trey Cumbie, and with me I have Dave, whose father was almost killed. Well, yeah, almost killed by a chainsaw. And the greatest part? His son got to watch. So, Dave, can you tell me what happened? How did this whole chainsaw incident occur?
Sure. When my son was 10, we were living down in Florida. We would send the kids up to visit with their grandparents each summer. And so it was his turn. And he went up to Indiana. They had a big acre lot in the farmlands of Indiana, and we thought that would be good for him. And nothing really happened. Through the first few days that he was there, we'd call him, and he was talking about how bored he was and wanted to come home, and he was homesick and all this, until one night we gave him a call, and he related a story to us that we thought was hilarious. And as happened to me when I was a kid, his grandfather was making him work in the yard, so he got to mow the yard. That's a lot of yard to mow. He had to rake, and they decided to cut down a tree that was struck by lightning, and it was burned up. So he went and got the tools, set up a ladder, and they were going to climb up the ladder and tie a rope to the branches and cut them out and drag them into the yard. He got his chainsaw and sat down with my son and explained the chainsaw rules and how it's dangerous and how hot the muffler gets and all this stuff. So they started the work. He climbed up, my father climbed up in the tree, tied the rope to a limb.
Here, hold on one second. This tree was struck by lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And they just climbed it up. I thought this is where things were going to go wrong. I mean, the tree was struck by lightning. He just climbed it like he's not going to get electrocuted, or
no. It was struck before, and it was burned up, and it was dead. It was a giant dead tree now, no leaves on it or anything. So
it's not a perpetual thing.
No.
It's just hit by lightning, burns
Died.
up, and then it's just a tree.
Gone.
Oh, okay. All right. Who knew?
Yeah.
All right.
So he climbed up in the tree with the chainsaw, tied a rope to the branch, fired up the chainsaw, cut through the branch, pulled it down successfully into the yard, and while he was up there, he set the chainsaw on his leg and burned a great big mark on his leg, and threw the chainsaw, almost fell out of the tree, climbs down. My mother and my son went over. They had to doctor this big branded wound on his leg. And then they apparently, had to take a break and finish cutting down the tree later. So that seemed to go by, and everything went well with the trip. And I flew up to Indiana to pick him up, and my son, eventually said that he had fun while he was up there with his grandparents. He made some friends and enjoyed himself. And then I talked to my dad, and I said, "How's your wound? How is it?" And he pulled up his shorts, and there was a big pink scar on his leg where he had branded the muffler right into his leg. And I noticed that there was a big old red mark around it. I said, "So what happened to your leg where the red mark is?" And he said, "Well, a couple weeks before Sean came up, he goes, I was out cutting logs and set them aside for the winter, and I had set the chainsaw on my leg and burned a big scar into my leg."
Wow.
So he'd done it before.
He'd done it. This was the second time he'd burned himself.
He'd done it before, and he didn't learn anything.
No, he didn't. Wow. Okay, so I think the audience, if you're thinking like I am, did it have a cool steel or craftsman scar on there, or
no? But the muffler had grill marks in it, and there was an indentation in the center where you put the wing nut on it to hold it on, and you could see it very clearly branded into his leg.
Wow. That could not have felt good. That is horrible.
Could not have felt good.
Okay, so knowing that it did not feel good at all, were you presented with this situation, knowing what happened to your father, what might you do differently?
Well, firstly, I probably would read the instruction manual and keep the muffler away from me, and secondly, I probably wouldn't climb up in a tree with a chainsaw to do the cutting. I'd probably cut the tree down first.
Probably a good idea.
Probably
Most
a good
definitely.
idea.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, folks, I think we learned a couple things today. First of all, we don't climb trees with chainsaws. It's always a bad idea. We always read our instruction manuals whenever we're dealing with something that could possibly hurt us. or if we're dealing with something confusing like your TV or your DVR. I mean, that's, read your instruction manual. And then third off, you have scars for a reason. I mean, it's a good reminder of something stupid you did in the past that you probably don't want to do again. So let's always remember those stupid things we did. So join us next week whenever I think we have a bear attack coming up. But anyways, hope you guys have a great night and stay safe.